biohacking, performance, mastery, mindset, holistic health. This is a show about getting better every single day. I'm on a mission, guys, to help over 1 million people get healthy and lose weight. Why? Because when you lose weight and get healthy, you have higher self-esteem. You have more self-confidence. And that person goes out and crushes their goal and starts living the highest version of themselves, and then they have way more impact on the world. What's up, guys? Happy Friday for another episode of Health Hack Fridays. This episode is going to bridge off of my Wednesday Weight Loss Wednesday show, where I talked about the four things that you can actually do to 4 rules of fat burn. And there's actually a 5th one that I left out, a little cliffhanger that I left out because I wanted to save it for today's episode. And I think it's really important. I think a lot of people are making huge mistakes when it comes to their diet, nutrition, and including, especially when it comes to weight loss. And they think they need to restrict this mineral because it's going to help them. And we have been fed dogma by pharma and the Western medical conventional system, unfortunately. And people are running with it, and they're making, I think, some mistakes. And I see it in a lot of my clients' life. And when we fix this small little thing, guess what? Their health starts to get better, and they start to feel better, more vibrant, and more energy. Before I jump into what that mineral is, I just want to share with you guys, I just created a cheat sheet, a blueprint. It's called the Weight Loss Diet Handout. And it's something that I use with all my private wellness clients. And it's a real simple format. Everyone's always like, Joel, what should I eat? How should I mealtime? What kind of foods do I eat? Is it keto? Is it carnivore? Is it Atkins? Is it paleo? Like, what do I do if I want to lose weight and just be healthy and build that over time? Well, I've created a cheat sheet, and I want to give it to you for free. So if you're interested, simply reach out to me, shoot me an email, info@joelevancoaching.com, or reach out, DM me on Instagram at Joel Evan Coaching. You can reach out to me on Facebook. I'm seeing a lot of people doing that. It's totally fine. Just understand if you go to my website and you reach out to me in the Messenger plugin, go ahead and do it. But sometimes I only get like 24 hours to respond to you, and I don't always see it. It doesn't notify me. So I do my best to respond to that. But a better method would be to do the other 2 that I referred to. But hey, either one is good. And I will make sure I get that over to you. All right, let's get into the 7 reasons. Well, actually, before I talk about that, stop believing the claim that salt causes health problems, okay? And I'm going to tell you 7 reasons why you actually probably need more salt in your diet. The second thing I want to say is actually go back and look at an episode I did on the Hack Life podcast with Rob Wolf. Rob Wolf has been around in the health community for a long time, and he's well known he's a best-selling author, and he's got a background as like a biochemist. I mean, the guy knows his stuff, and he's really been famous since the paleo days and talking about the paleo diet. But Rob we talk about that in the podcast about salt and how actually they're deficient in it and they probably need more. He has an amazing company. So before I even say that, Rob actually was doing a lot of keto and a lot of fasting and then carnivore, but he found himself just being lethargic, not having any pep. And he was doing his jiu-jitsu and his workouts, and he wasn't able to perform well. And some of his colleagues and people that were doing really well in the keto diet, they're like, dude, you're not getting enough salt. That's your problem. And so when he added that back into his diet, boom, his workouts were flourishing. He started doing really well again. And so he said, you know what, I'm going to make a company and create a company that solves this problem, because I think I'm not the only one. And he, instead of people drinking dill, pickle juice to get their minerals and their salt, he thought, hey, let's create like some really good flavors and some really good ingredients where people can get their electrolytes and their salt intake in a really nice way. And they've got some amazing flavors. I have not had a bad flavor like watermelon salt. They've got like chili mango and some really good stuff. So if you go over to his company, it's called LMNT, LMNT. If you go to www.drinkelement.com/Joel Evan, you can actually get a free sample pack with whatever you order. Really nice deal there. So go check that out. I'm not pumping that up. That wasn't my intention. I just realized like it's a great product. I use it. I've referred a lot of clients to it, especially when they're doing that fasting, and it really helps them in many ways. being able to continue their fast and just have that performance and that pep when they're doing all their workouts and stuff. So go ahead and check that out. Is Drink Element, lmnt.com/Joel Evan. And then go and check that episode off. The episode I did with Rob Wolf, we get into really not just salt, but we also talk a lot about the food industry and the agriculture industry and what's happening in the meat industry right now. He did a really cool documentary called Sacred Cow, and he talks about the truth about meat, the truth about, meat has been demonized and said it's a really bad thing. And we really get into why that's not true and how having, grass-fed meat can actually be very healthy. And so we get into that. So, all right, 7 reasons why, guys. I'm going to talk to you about this salt epidemic. There's thousands of people right now that are walking around. They're feeling dizzy. They're feeling weak. They're feeling lethargic. And they are misattributing a lot of these issues to their thyroid. And the other thing is there's a lot of blood pressure medications and antidepressants that are increasing this risk of developing low sodium. And then guess what? Low sodium makes you feel awful. How many clients do I have, and how many of you have actually come to me and you're already on low blood pressure? You're on blood pressure medications. You're on antidepressants, and you feel like crap. And you don't feel great, and you're wondering, well, I have this energy issue. Well, could it be some of the medications that you're taking that's maybe lowering your sodium intake? Yeah, it really could, because here's what's happening. The salt deprivation, what happens is it actually can reduce the kidney's ability to eliminate nitrogen-containing byproducts of protein metabolism. So as the nitrogen waste starts to build up, your kidneys try to dilute these toxic effects by retaining water, which then the cause and effect of that is your legs start to swell. And so doctors will often wrongly advise patients that are overloaded with this toxic nitrogen and water to further reduce salt intake, right? And when this fails to improve edema, we start to prescribe medications. And guess what? The kidneys, what they do, it's for the kidneys to eliminate more salt. So yeah, it helps with the edema in the short run, but sometimes it's only just for a few hours a day. So here's what I would say. When people are going to say, well, then Joel, when should I track my salt intake? So here's the thing. If one or more of your organs have, and by the way, I'm not a doctor, I can't prescribe, I can't treat, and nor do I cure disease. The only people that apparently can do that are the Western conventional doctors. So I can't say that. I'm just sharing knowledge that I read about from other practitioners and their books. And I'm just sharing that knowledge. I can't tell you what to do. Okay, just understand that. But here's the thing. Here's what we have read is that if one or more organs have failed and the body no longer can achieve this proper homeostatic regulation, well, once this starts to occur, it's really hard for the body to retain salt. And if the diet is low in salt, as it tries to eliminate because the diet's too high, then it also becomes necessary for these types of folks. They got to carefully manage other things too. They got to track things like their potassium, their phosphorus, their water, their nitrogen intake. They got to track all these things. So that's probably when you really need to start tracking your salt intake, is when your organs fail. Also, Joel, what kind of salts should I be buying? I'd say any of these are pretty good. Iodized salt, sea salt, Himalayan salt, Dead Sea salt, Celtic salt, which is what our family used. We used to use a lot of Himalayan salt and the pink salt, which I think is good. Then we started to see like there was a lot of issues with iron oxide, iron issues. There started to be some publications and studies of that, and then just the quality and how good it was. And so I started to be a little bit wary of that, and I started switching to Celtic sea salt. So, but at the end of the day, any of the ones I listed are pretty good. Now, let's get into the 7 reasons why you probably need more salt in your diet, especially you keto fans out there. All right. Number 1 reason, salt reduces hunger. Yeah, it actually it probably tells you that you need more salt when you're having a craving. I see this all the time with clients, right? We have these salty cravings, right? We want chips, we want nuts, we want salted whatever. And that's a really good sign if you're having these cravings. Maybe you just need some salt. Maybe you just need some more salt in your diet. So again, I think something like LMNT, which I will use like one of my big water jugs with like 32 ounces of water, and I throw a little packet in there. What I love about it doesn't dilute it. It still has a really good flavor. It uses stevia in it, so it's not going to bump you really out of a fast or anything. And they taste great. And so it's better than drinking the boring normal water. So that's what I do. You could always do like, and I've noticed that helps me, especially with hunger and cravings in between meals. It's like, am I really hungry? Or do I just need more water? Or do I just need salt? And so I think that's something to play with. The other thing, if you want to not invest in anything like a element, you could always do like a dill pickle, bone broth, miso soup. So you have those options too. Number 2 big reason, salt makes food tastes better. Yeah, it does. I remember when I first met my wife, I was, over like 12 years ago, I was really into health and I was under the dogma too. Salt is bad for you. Don't use too much salt. And so I would never really salt my foods when we would cook. And she's like, you need more salt. You need more salt. And I would watch her like throw out the salt on the foods. And I'm like, oh my God, that seems like a lot of salt. And what I've learned over time is, so I've known her for over, 12 years and I salt the hell out of my foods and I feel great. And I don't have any issues. I do my blood work regularly and I feel great. I'm in good health. So I know I'm only in a one experiment, but it's just really interesting, what you find out. Now, even if you look at like food gurus like Michael Pollan, he was interviewed he interviewed a couple chefs himself and they've told him you want to use at least 3 times as much as you think you should. So even like world-renowned chefs are saying you probably need more salt. So salt makes food taste better. That's another great reason. Number 3, salt helps reverse insulin resistance and diabetes. Now, according to Dr. James Antonio, an expert on salt and its benefits, chronic salt depletion may be the cause of internal starvation, he says. When you restrict your salt intake on a regular basis, the body eventually starts to panic. And one of its key defense mechanisms is to increase insulin levels. He talks about this in his book, The Salt Fix, where he goes into great detail why salt has been demonized and villainized. Now, the interesting thing is insulin, right? What it does is it helps the kidneys hang on to the little bit of salt that actually remains. But here's the problem. When insulin shuts the door to your fat closet, it's going to prevent fat from releasing between meals when you actually need it. You need it for more energy, right? And this makes your body burn up more of its supplies and contributes to problems like hypoglycemia, right? And so these are the things we're seeing. We have to be really careful, and that's also going to cause that issue of hunger. You're going to have this overactive hunger because your insulin levels are all out of balance. Okay. Number 4, salt's going to improve your digestion. One of the simplest home remedies for indigestion and acid reflux is just sitting in your kitchen, and it's salt. Salt, why? Because it gives your body 2 essential minerals. One is sodium, the other is chloride. Your stomach needs chloride to make hydrochloric acid, and your liver needs salt to make bile salts. So just taking a pinch of salt dissolved in water could really help an upset stomach. Number 5, salt is going to improve learning and concentration. Have you ever noticed when you're really low in sodium? Maybe you don't know, but these people are really tired. They're lethargic. I've seen a lot of people come through me for health coaching, and they're like, I have no pep in my step. Joel, I just feel lethargic and work before workouts. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And all I've done is just add a little bit of salt into their diet, and they do amazing. And the reason is your brain requires normal salt balance to actually function. Okay. And so when your blood sodium is low, your nervous system slows down. And this is going to cause things like attention deficit, impaired memory, balance problems, trigger headaches. Just recently I had a client with balance problems and went to the hospital. They ran all these tests, nothing, couldn't find anything. I found out her salt intake was 1,200 milligrams a day, like 1.2 grams. That is extremely low. And I told her, I think this is your problem. We started to up her salt intake. She never got that to happen again. We'll talk about at the end of the show, what's a good number, what you should be looking for in terms of salt intake. So we'll talk about that, okay? On that same note, number 6, and I'm not going to go into it too much, but salt improves your energy, okay? So if you start to feel tired or headachy, try adding some salt. See what happens there. And the last one, number 7, salt improves bone health. When your diet is chronically low in salt, your body understands, I'm experiencing this internal starvation. I need more nutrients. And so it finds itself in this, Peter, what's that phrase? Peter to pay Paul kind of scenario, right? And one of the richest sources of sodium in your body is your bones. And so studies have shown that low sodium levels in from food actually forces your cells in the bone to start dissolving bone matrix in order to extract sodium to export it in your bloodstream. So people, and we've seen this, right, as people start to age, women especially starting around age 40, women lose an average of half an inch per decade, guys. So for weight loss, think about that. The taller that you are, the more calories you can eat without gaining weight. Let's start adding some more salt. Let's get taller. So it's going to help maintain your current height. That's the bottom line. Okay. So last couple things, and then we're going to wrap this episode up. How much salt is enough? We are told right now, just by like the RDA, the recommended daily average that we need, 2.3 grams per day, which is just half a teaspoon. Now, here's what the functional medicine doctors are seeing in the functional medicine world, that the optimal intake is actually between 5 to 10 grams. So remember my client that was getting 1.2 grams? That's ridiculous. Even the RDA, the recommended daily value, is 2.3. And we're seeing actually that's way too low. That's probably way too low. You're looking at actually 2.5 to 10 grams. If you're an athlete and you're burning a lot, even Rob Wolf on my podcast, we talked about that. You're probably needing about 10 grams. So just look at that and play with that, right? Especially if you're someone like me. I'm a high output guy. I drink a lot of coffee. Coffee is going to take away from the minerals in your body. So you want to support that. Recently, I talked about fulvic minerals and how I'm very bullish on that right now. I've got an interview coming up next week, and I really think every client should probably be on it. There's a couple fulvic mineral supplements that I'm currently using right now, about 3 different brands that I really like, and I can recommend those to you. So just reach out to me, and I'm happy to share what I'm doing. But if you're on medication or you're taking coffee, or antidepressants, right? You might need more. So just understand that. And you really can't oversalt food. Let's face it, if you do, it's going to be inedible. You're going to know. So it's 2 to 2.5, 3. 2 to 2/3 of a teaspoon. That's actually a lot of salt. You'll know if you're getting too much salt in your diet. So and the other thing is, even if you do, just remember your kidneys are going to excrete that. So it's something to play with, and I think you'll really start. I would just say, hey, check it out. I got someone on TikTok, Carlos, saying, you're right. Thanks, Carlos. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, a lot of people would say you're absolutely wrong. What do you know? So appreciate the kind words. All right, guys, that's it. So that's the 7 big reasons why you need more salt in your diet. 1 is it reduces hunger. 2 is it makes food taste better. Salt helps reverse insulin resistance and diabetes. 4, it's going to improve your digestion. 5, it improves learning and concentration. 6, it's going to improve energy. And 7, it improves bone health. I hope this episode was helpful for you. This is a additional thing that you should be. So on Wednesday, my Weight Loss Wednesday show, we talked about the 4 fat burning rules. This is number 5, seek salt. I kind of hung on to this one as a little cliffhanger for the end of the week. I hope this was helpful for you guys. If it was, be sure to share the episode, the Hack Life Podcast. Be sure to share this episode out on social media. Share it with somebody else you know. And again, just a reminder, if anybody is looking at a way to add more salt in your diet, go to www.drinkelement.com/Joel Evan. You can check out Rob Wolf's company, Drink Element, an amazing company for electrolytes, and it has the perfect ratio of electrolytes as well as sodium in there, and I think you'll really like that. So check that out. And then last but not least, if you want that cheat sheet that I did, the weight loss diet, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to send that to you guys. Have an amazing weekend, and spend some time with your family. Stay blessed. I love you guys. I'm out.